All right, welcome back to our spreadsheet assignment. Very exciting, guys. We are moving to our fourth requirement, which is to summarize the transactions for the year 2018 only based on the customer information in the customer summary sheet. So we're going to use a series of functions that are relevant to our purpose of the summary for each one of these um, items. So in the customer summary sheet, we are looking to summarize transactions for 2018 that belong to each one of these customers. So we're looking for the count, revenue, etc. So let me focus first on counting the number of transactions for Alabama supplies. So the normal type of function that I would have used is COUNTIF, but in this case, we have more than one type of criteria that we want to apply as our condition for counting the transactions. It's not just counting all the transactions that belong to Alabama supplies, but we're going to add an additional criteria that an additional criterion that includes the date. In fact, we're going to do a couple of those to define the date. All right. So if we use the COUNTIFs formula, then I can have a series of criteria to apply that range. So how does the COUNTIFs work? Number one, we want to make sure that we return the count of a range depending on a specified criteria. The first element is that criteria range. So what am I going to try to match against or try to filter by or condition with our criterion? Well, I'm going to try to condition number one, the name of these transactions. And those names are contained in our B column. So if I select the range transactions B1 to B1000, that should give us the range of the criteria that we want to match against the um, the name on our cell A2. That's it. So I am only going to count those transactions in our transactions sheet that have the name Alabama Supplies, which is contained in our cell A2, anywhere from B1 to B1000. All right. Let me go ahead and anchor it so that I can be ready to copy as soon as I'm done. Another requirement that I want is to have a range of a date. So what I need to do is find out where the dates contain in my transactions table. So let's go back here, and it looks like they're on the E column. So all I have to do is select the E1. So let me go back to my customer summary, right? And keep going at this. Press the comma, go to my transactions, and select my E column. And sometimes it's a little slow, so I have to do E. I may type it manually if you find that you're stuck without advancing. Notice that I just went back and corrected that. I'm going from E1 all the way to E1000 for my criteria. And then, right, I am going to make sure that I use a quotation mark to define a condition that is not exactly as an address. So this is actually something I'm going to write, not something that is contained somewhere, right? So in this case, I'm going to say this is less than, I'm sorry, let me start with higher than or equal to 1/1/2018, right? That is my criteria for that date. So I'm looking for transactions whose name contained in the B column match the name in the A2 field. And I'm also going to look for transactions uh, whose date contained in the E column match or are higher or equal to 1/1/2018. Now, if I keep adding transactions for 2019, 2020, then I would get those unless I add an additional criterion. And in this case, I have to go and add an additional criterion based on date. So once again, I go and select um, E1 all the way to E1000 as my criteria range. And I want it to be open parentheses less than or equal 12/31/2018. And then I close the quotation mark and close the parentheses. An additional thing that I want to do right away is also make sure that I anchor the references to those ranges so that they don't move with me. The only thing that I want to move when I copy stuff down is this A2 column. All right, so let's take a look at this once again. This is counting the number of transactions that match the name containing in the cell A2, which is the Alabama supplies. And then we want to make sure that we filter only those transactions that are higher than January 1st, 2018, and then equal to or less than 12/31/2018. When you type that in, it's going to give me 11. I can copy paste the rest, and I can see that only 19 transactions for professor and students PC happened to occur in 2018. I can always verify that by going back to my transactions list and doing a bunch of filterings. All right, so that is the end of requirement number 4A. Thank you.